Hey squad, Logan here from Mostly Superheroes, wanting to talk to you today about some real-life heroes. Team Jakey, headquartered here in St. Louis, Missouri. They're turning the tragedy of losing their beloved Jake Zeller into life-changing action. Not just by making a difference, but by saving lives. Team Jakey supports both the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and Provident Behavioral Health here in St. Louis. Join us at their annual Gentleman Jake Memorial Cornhole Tournament. It's more than just a game. It's a community coming together to lift each other up with some of the world's best prizes. If you're feeling down or know someone who is, Team Jakey's here with a message of hope. Reach out by calling 988. You can also visit www.afsp.org or text TALK to 741-741. You're not alone, and there's always a way forward. Someone's waiting for your call or text message. Search for Team Jakey on Facebook and learn more at www.mostlysuperheroes.com/give. Every bit helps, and together, we can make a difference. Welcome back to the podcast, Mostly Superheroes, indie podcast, over 200 episodes. We're back with familiar face, a friend of the show, an honorary host at this point, and two new people. So I want to do some roundtables because this one not only brought to you by one of our biggest sponsors of Mostly Superheroes a long time, years now, Team Jakey, with a big event just around the corner. Let's kick it off with this guy, man, Mr. Sam the Sleeper.
Thank you. Back again. Sam the Sleeper.
Back again,
dude.
This time with your dad.
Yeah, I'm just bringing more. We're multiplying.
Oh my God! And a friend too.
And a friend. My cousin Max.
Barely a friend.
Barely a friend. Always a cousin.
Only is what they say.
Can't get rid of them.
Yep.
Friends you can get rid of. Can't get rid of cousins.
Why don't you, for people that might be tuning in for the first time, why don't you just reintroduce yourself, Sam?
Sam Zeller of Team Jakey. We are an organization for suicide prevention and mental health awareness. I've been on the show a few times to talk about Team Jakey, and we're going to do more of that today. And I brought here my dad, Steve Zeller, and my cousin, Max Otten.
Very nice, man. And we've called you Sam the Sleeper on the show because you fall asleep during movies.
I have.
And Max has promised to expand on the title a little bit. So why don't we just jump to Max, introduce yourself. Dude, welcome. Give you the big applause. That's the best part.
Yeah. Is there a bigger applause?
That's it. That's not big enough with the
woo! Yeah, I like the drunk guy in the background. That fits. Like Sam said, cousin, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, depending on which one of us you're asking. Mm-hmm. Been with Team Jakey since the start. Grew up 2 streets over from Sam and Jake, so been in the trenches the whole time, just taking ricochet shots. I was their little cousin until I was about 4, and then I was 3 inches taller than them. So
yeah,
after that, roles switched.
Yeah, he's 5 years younger, but 5 times bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can tell it just from the the customer side of Team Jakey. I see your name on all the sign-up stuff. I know that you're just out there helping them put on the big event right around the corner.
Oh yeah.
And you guys do so many live events that I've learned more about this year, watching the social medias and being really tied in. Yeah. So I know we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, Mr. Steve Zeller, welcome.
Thank you very much.
You look great.
Yeah.
We're all rocking the gear.
Yeah. That's all I ever wear.
How do you introduce yourself when you're talking about this stuff and hanging out with these guys?
I don't usually. I'm terrible at names, so I'm usually
even his own.
Even yours?
Yeah, sometimes. I find it really uncomfortable, but I'm getting better. This last week has really taught me a lesson.
Yeah, you guys have been through the trenches these last couple weeks, and it's the freshest thing that's happened to you guys, and something has happened. And I'll leave it to you guys. You guys are kind of family. I'm the moderator here. You want to kind of share what happened?
I'll kick it off. So as you know, the listeners, we raise money year round. Raise money for suicide prevention. We raise awareness for suicide prevention and mental health. and it's a a team effort. And one of our biggest contributors, one of our biggest catalysts, one of our biggest cheerleaders, one of our biggest captains in our journey and our message has been my uncle Mike Otten, Max's dad here, and we lost him sadly 2 weeks ago today. So it was a gut punch, and we're scrambling. It feels like a ship without a captain, but we're figuring it out. Just a big loss, and it's a lot for all of us to really put to words. And it's you don't realize what you lost until you lose it, and
Well said.
or what you had until you lose it. So it's been interesting and terrible and everything else. So he was just a great man, and he just did excellent work for us. And
Well, I know of 2 people offhand that he saved their lives, myself and my wife, by giving us a real purpose
yeah,
to go on
Bringing purpose
to our life.
to to tragedy too. Like purpose is it can help us so much. And you guys you're all still, I would assume, like very much in shock. Like you said, reeling.
yeah.
It was unexpected. It wasn't a long time coming. This was a guy I saw just at the Cardinal game.
Not even a month ago.
Yeah.
And we're talking about boards, and I'm just so sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I'm just so sorry.
And
just really.
Yeah, and for the listeners, and we'll get into it, but we raised money for in memory of my twin brother Jake, for 11 years now, and Mike's been and was a huge part of that from the very jump. So it's been a struggle, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Sam said, not just physically our largest teammate, he also pulled the most weight out of all of us, even more than me sometimes, depending. It fluctuates. Like Sam mentioned, a couple, how many ever days ago, at my dad's funeral, 2 weeks before our first cornhole tournament, my dad calls me and is like, "Let's do a bags tournament." And I was like, "For what?" He was like, "For this, the Team Jakey, we're doing this walk."
Oh, you're saying back 11 years ago.
Yeah, 11 years ago originally. And Sam said, "In 2 weeks, sure. How? We'll have 9 people there."
Yeah.
And we raised what, $2,500, $2,700? Yeah.
$2,400, I remember.
In 2.5 weeks, we pulled together everything that we had that day, and it
just
has grown.
mismatched boards and
Literally, hey, do you got an extra set of boards we can borrow? Oh, that's cool. You don't know where the bags are. We'll have to call somebody else. That kind of stuff. And it's exponentially grown, largely to the efforts of my dad. Like Sam and Steve have both said, he had a job, and then he had Team Jakey. And sorry, St. Louis City, Team Jakey got almost as much time as his actual job.
Yeah.
He ate, drank, slept, breathed Team Jakey. That was,
And the message.
Yeah, that
it wasn't just Team Jakey. It was Tackle the Struggle that he started down at City. He was doing the talk, lunch and talks with Sam.
Lunch and Learns.
Lunch and Learns, yeah.
And for our listeners too, so your dad worked for the soccer team here in town.
Since their inception, he was the director of security.
Finally got his dream job.
Dream job. And I mean, we've seen like the cool collabs too that came out of that, just doing the mission for Team Jakey.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it just for my last year was my first year at the event. So that was, year 11, right? So, and I just knew, I didn't even know his name, but I was like, this guy is one of the backbones of this whole thing. Like,
Absolutely.
Just living it. Like, you could just really tell.
Yeah, the energy he brought, and this isn't a knock on anyone. It was his nephew by marriage. So he brought the energy as if it was his own father, his own brother, his own son, his own whatever, and it consumed him in a great way, and it gave him a purpose as well. I know that he would often say that like it was his favorite thing was talking about Jake, talking about the bags tournament, talking about the pride that he had in what we've done since starting.
And you could see, because, we love to raise money for the cause, but he was always, he did love to raise money, but you could see like how these stories of how we actually impacted people's lives directly, like he was like a wealth of just stories of, hey, I talked to this person and they said, they heard about what we were doing and they broke down and said this and this, and like this story culminates about somebody that was touched or potentially saved a life, and that's what I think that's what like really kept him going, outside of just let's raise money for and throw a great cornhole tournament. It was like these side stories that came out along the way. Every year we did it, there would be something. There is to this day something that always pops out, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, and just to really to look at like right in the fucking face, like the guy that started it, that took a tragedy that happened to your family about 13 years ago. And then 11
this year.
11 this year.
Yeah.
And then now here we are with tragedy at the door.
Yeah. Because it could have easily been,
oh my God.
If you look back 11 years ago, I think I said this at your dad's services on Wednesday, that it could have easily been, we raised money. People would have given money that first year when we started a team. We started a team just as like something to do that first year. I don't think any one of us ever seeing it go beyond something that probably ends up fizzling out sooner than later, which is what most of those teams.
I would say my dad did.
Yeah, your dad definitely saw.
Even up to this year, his future plans for this were like, are you a crazy person?
Yeah.
Like, this probably is never going to be televised, Dad.
No,
like,
but
he had dreams about this.
How big?
How big can we possibly get this to get the biggest audience and save the most amount of lives?
Yeah.
That was, he was a police officer for 20-something years.
Yeah.
That was his bread and butter.
Organizing.
That's what he cared about, was helping people and saving lives. And when he left law enforcement, I think he missed that direct aspect of being involved in saving people and helping people. And when he saw this, he sunk his teeth right in and was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like Sam said, we're seeing the residuals. We're seeing the stories, people walking up to us where you're halfway through reading the flyer and they're weeping. Like, those are the things that have always been big for me personally, and I know for all of us, is getting to see not just the financial aspect that we're raising for charity, but the direct human impact.
Yeah, real human impact.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, me personally, like, we got involved together from the get-go because I said, like, these thoughts, the feelings, and just the general, like, having to, like, figure out how to live in this country.
Yeah.
And, like, to play a role and, like, to even, like, exist is, like, what it takes is, like, I think we all are, like, getting to the point where, like, we know why people get to certain points, and we have to have advocates for a change. And that's you guys. Like, in I'm talking about, like, the region, the state, like, whenever I, like, in the Stigma and how big you guys have gotten, like, who would have thought? Your dad, he did, like you said, he did.
Yeah, he saw.
He saw that vision and like these collaborations that were happening.
Ago.
He was like, yeah, no kidding. This is what's going to happen, and that's it's been an honor to be a part of it. I feel like I'm the one like riding on the train, where I'm like, Team Jakey's going to the moon for real.
Well, I know he always underestimated how much, and I don't really know how much he raised, mostly through the cornhole tournament, because I don't have the figures from the first 4 years. They just gave me the certificates. But I think it's like $280,000 minus those 4 years, how much that tournament, how much we gave to the
You're saying without those 4 years?
Without those 4 years, that's how much we gave.
And you guys are supporting American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, Missouri, and Provident Behavioral Health.
Correct.
Yes.
In St. Louis.
In St. Louis.
Yes.
But yeah, I bet it's close to $500,000 at this point.
It's got to be, because we do other things. We put on events too. So,
yeah.
And we got other monies we have to spend. We have very little overhead.
Yeah.
None of us get paid.
None of it. We have a locker. We have a locker. That's it.
Yeah.
Storage locker.
And that was one of the things that my dad was always adamant about. And I know that you and him had conversations where you would say, "Oh, we'll just buy it."
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "We can get this.
Yeah.
We can get people to give us this
through
conversation and through our story." And that was almost the challenge, and the game in and of itself was like, how do we make a connection with the guy who has beer, the guy who has hot dog buns? If this guy tells us no, we're going to find somebody who's been touched by this in some way, shape, or form, and the guy's going to go, bingo, here's 2,000 hot dog buns.
I've already fostered 2 relationships already that your dad had from phone calls after his passing.
You had a tough hill to climb there. Like, oh, fuck. We already talked to
Well,
Mike.
all right, so we'll jump all over the place while we're
Okay.
here together. And so I'll go, this is where I'll take it now, is the event.
Okay.
The event is September 21st.
Right around the corner.
Today is September 4th. This will come out pretty much, right away, like early next week. So it's right around the corner. You guys this has happened to you. You decide, carry on, because obviously that is exactly what Mike would do, right? Is that,
Oh, yeah.
am I hit there?
Absolutely.
He would be so disappointed.
My dad passed around between 1 and 2 in the morning on Tuesday, 2 weeks ago.
People are wondering, I don't like to ask this, but
Yeah.
we talked about it a minute ago and it kind of just came up. So, like, how did your dad pass?
He passed of a heart attack. So coming up on a month now, he and his wife were on a trip, and he thought he was having indigestion. 5 days later, he went to urgent care, and they're like, you need to go to the hospital right fucking now. They put in 3 stents, kept him for 4 days, released him on a Tuesday. That night around 2 a.m., what the paramedics have told us and what we know so far, must have had another heart attack. So we're still trying to sort through that. But yeah, that's what got him.
Dude, I'm really, really sorry. Like, and I know, like, it also just being with the organization, I'm sure it like comes up where, like, did he commit suicide is probably a correlation that people like have made where it's like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
This was a health thing that happened unexpectedly. And for you guys, it was a whirlwind. Like, it was like one day.
Yeah, absolutely. We picked him up from the hospital, hung out with him for an afternoon, bullshitted with him, made plans to go fishing, and 10 hours later, he passed. So extremely sudden, about as sudden as it gets. Sudden as a heart attack, some would say.
Yeah. And you've had a great sense of humor about it, too. I think your dad would be proud.
Well, it's that or the
too.
loony bin. So.
That is it, man. Like, I'm an advocate for any kind of grief that works.
Yep.
Truly.
When I got to his home, I told his wife, my parents are separated. My dad has since remarried. I told my dad's wife, Michelle, after the initial wailing subsides, I said, we are doing the tournament. And she looked at me and she said, absolutely, Mike would be pissed.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I got to Sam's house 6, 8, 10 hours later.
Yeah.
Second thing I said to him when I walked in the door is, tournament's still on. That would have been,
Yeah.
of all the things that my dad would have been like, fuck.
Yeah.
The tournament would have been crushing.
Well, it was 100% agreed on everybody.
Yeah, it was
The
never,
Team Jakey board was like,
Yeah.
There was never even a
Unanimous.
vote.
Unanimous.
We all kind of looked at each other and like,
and
and
how
kept
are we
moving
gonna
for- kept moving
do
forward.
it? Let's get lit. Let's divvy up. I mean, because you guys are now filling your dad's shoes.
Yeah, and I think the first once we looked around and all were like, all right, good, we're all still in this. It was a collective fuck. He did a lot. Like where it was
Right.
like, how did 9 people do the one person's job? He did
my
so
God.
much. Where since he's passed, we're divvying up tasks that he would have had done in 2.5 days while working and like
Right, trying to just on the fly, just keeping it
because
going.
that was just what he was, and so
Well,
like for
we-
all of us
we
trying to
can-
juggle it.
We can make up that by this committees we're doing, but what we never can make up now is the connections Mike had going forward.
Yeah, he had a long,
Yeah.
Oh, he
long
had
history of St.
Edward
Louis
Jones,
County. And
he had all kinds of connections.
Oh man, guys, I'm so sorry still
Yeah.
because this is fresh. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
No,
It's good to talk
and
about.
honestly,
You guys,
I
kudos to you guys for also not canceling this.
I
no,
will be
this is
completely honest. I went back and forth 3 times over the last 2 days, and I'm like, he would be so fucking pissed if I didn't go talk about the cornhole tournament.
Yeah.
when you
Just
have an
because he
opportunity.
checked out, he'd be like, "Fuck you, go! Like you can be bummed out later. Go talk about this. We need XYZ done. Did you check my legal pad? There's still things on there like that need to be taken care of."
Dude, that's really sweet, man. He's proud for sure. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're going through something. These guys are going through something. You're going through something.
Yeah,
Like, it's a level beyond Team Jakey. Like, I'm really sorry that you lost your dad unexpectedly.
yeah, and
Yeah, we're over here talking about how much work we got to do.
I know.
Sam's
But
got a
that's-
lot going on.
your
Right.
dad's
Yeah,
gone?
Sam's really got
Dad's right fucking here, so pump the brakes.
There you go.
Your dad's still trying to figure out headphones. All right.
All right. Oh, that's good.
So
Thank you for doing that on this
Yeah,
podcast. You guys are
absolutely.
sweet. Jeez.
anytime.
Yeah. All right. So you guys are doing it. It's happening. September 21st. We'll see you there.
Yeah, I mean,
Come out for the best prizes in the world, play some bags.
We're picking it up. We got
Yeah, a lot of entertainment this year.
We got that helicopter landing
Helicopter.
still.
Yep. So we're having a new So we've done helicopter landings before. I believe we've had 2. We've had a arch rescue helicopter and a police helicopter. We're doing a separate ambulance.
Well, the police helicopter was there for me.
Correct. Yeah,
They
followed you there from your home. Correct.
I saw that.
Correct.
I was watching that.
Yeah, they were just amazed that you were still able to stand after all of it.
Yeah, like traveling 10 miles an hour on the highway.
Yeah, it was like the OJ chase. They were like, this guy's got to just pull over at some point. He's barely moving.
I thought, wow, you can actually run pretty fast.
We this year and all these emergency services displays that we do are obviously tentative on people getting called out.
Yeah.
So as long as there's not a hostage situation, we will have an FBI SWAT Bearcat there, so their armored vehicle will be there, along with along with 2 FBI SWAT operators and all their equipment.
What?
Again, barring any hostage situation.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're going to lock yourself in a hotel room with a bunch of hostages, do it
Please
the
just-
25th.
Yeah,
Like anytime after the 21st.
For charity.
Take
Yeah.
over buildings.
Yeah.
I don't care,
Come
but
on.
let us
It's
get
a
through.
It's a fundraiser.
Yeah, come on. I lost my dad. Let us get through the
Right.
fundraiser. Like,
We have
Okay, he's like, I'll do this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kidnap school bus tomorrow for charity.
yeah, we got a face painter and a
Magician.
yeah for the kids. A walk around.
Poof, made your
magician.
dad disappear.
He did. He did. He went, look. And if you look here, you have a dad, and he's gone.
Oh my God, you
You're
guys.
sick.
You're
Man.
You
Hey,
know,
humor is also every
great-
grief is okay grief too.
It's
Every
great.
grief is
It's a
okay
good-
grief.
It's a good coping mechanism. We'll get into coping mechanisms
we
later.
will.
I was just we can get into remind me of the venue. Where's your the venue? Last thing.
It is at the Knights of Columbus.
Let's leave people with where to go to
Yeah.
this thing.
It is Knights of Columbus in Florissant. I think there's
50 something.
50th St. Francois.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Rue Saint.
You can find it on the Team Jakey Facebook page.
Yeah.
You'll see the event there, and you can't miss it.
We are still
it's where they
accepting
have the Valley of
teams.
the Flowers, I believe.
We
Yeah.
are still accepting teams.
We are still
Or we're-
accepting
Yep.
teams.
Yeah.
$100 per team. We've actually lowered the price. Mike Otten wanted me to tell everybody we lowered the price.
That was his last words to Sam.
I was gonna say,
lower
was
the
that?
price.
I mean, it was kind of like that. It
He
was.
called me, said we're lowering the price, and I
Yeah.
said, okay, I'll let him know.
Yeah.
Oh
and,
my
then, and that
gosh.
was it.
And
then he
then
went.
25 early prepaid if you want to spectate. Otherwise, 30 at the door. That's all you can drink, all you can eat. And I'm talking pulled pork, Dogtown pizzas, Dairy Queen. It's walking tacos.
Yeah. Walking
Ooh.
tacos last year.
Yeah, from Taco
Ooh.
From
Bell.
Taco Bell.
Yes.
Yeah, what else do we have?
We'll have plenty of-
Bratwurst from Kenrick's.
Yeah.
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 It's the best food. Andy Hunn, the giggler, says it all the time. Best day of his life. He throws that around a lot, but he does say it about Team Jakey event.
Does
Gentleman
Steph know-
Jake's
Does
tournament.
Steph know that he says it that often?
Dude, exactly.
It's like, hey, marrying you, number 2.
that rarely comes up. Honestly, I'm getting him
He's
in big
maybe
trouble now.
never even, sometimes I forget he was married.
This I sent him the Zoom link, but then our Zoom went down, so who knows? Okay, so
So
people-
food,
food,
drinks.
Yep.
I mean, we'll have beer, wine, and then some of the best, if not the best, raffles in silent auction items in the state of Missouri.
I am blown away each time I go to a different
Event.
and this is not a knock on any one charity, but we've gone to national charity events that are the entire nationwide pulling together, and Sam and I will look at each other from across the table and be like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's like
Yeah.
thumbs down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
like
is this? And why is somebody
yeah.
paying $3,000 for that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sweet.
How about
a Jimmy
the
John's
the
gift card
doll?
is really what you're getting?
I feel like what you can do to tease prizes without spoiling what they are is say some of last year and like maybe build on it where you want to. Like I'll just shout out the one
Yeah.
Giggler one, the foursome with the city players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was
Yeah.
amazing.
I
The
was
fact-
lucky enough to be a part of that, and it was
magical. I bet.
one of the, in Hunn's words, Andy Hunn, the Giggler's words, one of the best days of my life.
All right, just one of them. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's list them off. What else was there?
So we may or may not have a bunch of brand new Titleist stuff this year again. Driver, bag, putter. I don't know. I'll leave
Yep.
it up to you. That stuff
Wow.
in silent auction. You can. These aren't silent auctions where you're going to be spending a pretty penny. 5x fold of what the heck I mean, you might get a hell of a deal.
It's like are you doing ticket system again?
The
or are you
silent auction is just you show up and you write your name.
you make your bid.
You make your bid. And,
Yes.
And I'm going to
nice.
throw it out there.
Right, yeah.
Some guy last year went home with $1,300 in no, a $600 driver, $450 putter, and a $250 bag. Do the quick math there. He went home with it for $800.
Yeah. And I know a couple years ago we had a limited edition custom Scotty Cameron that walked off the premises for less than $500, I think.
Yeah.
And I was standing there, I was like, oh, God, I
So it's not like you're gonna go and you're gonna spend a fortune to win some of this stuff.
No,
you can get
it.
You know what I mean? It's for charity, so feel free to spend more.
We put nice things on raffles too.
Yeah, the raffles. I love the raffle game
the poor
too.
people can win something.
Absolutely, that was totally. It's a mix. There's something for everybody.
Yeah.
You can get in on. I mean, our friend Shanna won diamond earrings.
Yeah.
And Scott and Shanna won like really nice like Jack Daniel's bar stools. They were like the legit ones.
There's more diamond earrings, I believe, this year.
There's diamond earrings. I believe there's a ring floating around.
Yeah.
There's hard-sided coolers like Yeti coolers.
Yeah.
Tattoos.
Another Bentonardi putter, brand new.
Yep.
That's a nice $450 putter.
Yeah.
That's
And
gonna be
it's
out
not
there in the
tattoos
raffle.
professionally. I'm just going to be there sitting Indian style, jabbing in.
Yeah,
whatever you guys want.
That's
I'll
how
do
you
whatever want.
contribute.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Where you can find it cheap.
Yep,
This is a
exactly.
great opportunity.
Great opportunity for Team Jakey to save money.
Our DJ kills it every year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and we happen to have some cornhole there.
Yeah,
So
photo bus. We do a
that was
converted VW bus that we do.
I had
it's
fun
a
in that
photo
last
booth.
year.
That's always. It's one of those things where they're there for a limited amount of time, and people are always like, "Oh, that was my favorite. I could have done that 15 times because it's just so cool to do." And
yeah, maybe we work logistically on where to put him this year. Maybe a little. We always
a
try to
little more
improve his spot.
centralized.
Yeah, he
We
was
wanna get more
kind of
traffic.
parallel to the food, so
Yeah.
he was kind of competing with beers.
Yeah, we need to.
which
we
is
need
a
to,
lose-lose when we're there.
We need to get him
Right.
strategically
Just
placed.
sitting at the beer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's tough when I'm working the beer booth because I'm pouring myself one, and I'm like, "Will you guys wait a second?"
So September 21st, guys. It's about 11:30 start time for registration. Plan on it going to about 6 p.m., 7 p.m. You can come and go as you please.
There you go. There you go. Find more at Facebook. Team Jakey's there, and it's linked up at mostlysuperheroes.com/give. And right now, we'll take a break, and we'll come right back.
Hey, podcast listeners, this is Chris Holsey. I'm the host of the new true crime podcast, Small Town Forgotten. In the first season, I focus on a very personal cold case. 31 years ago, my family member Jimmy Wade Martin was murdered in front of multiple witnesses in Bonne Terre, Missouri. A murder weapon was found, and a man confessed, and yet there have been no convictions and no justice for Jimmy Wade's twin daughters. You can listen to Small Town Forgotten directly from our website, smalltownforgotten.com, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.
We got pretty cool ads on this podcast. I'll give us that. However, you might be like me when it comes to certain content, and I just don't want the ads. As little as $1.99 a month, you can get ad-free content from Mostly Superheroes. That's right. Patreon, Apple Podcast, Podbean, all of these channels offer ad-free versions of our episodes coming out early, including the patron pre-show, the show before the show. Open up Patreon, Apple Podcast, or Podbean, or go to mostlysuperheroes.com/support to learn more. Thank you for supporting your favorite independent podcasts. Mostly Superheroes Indie Podcast has a slate of upcoming titles, interviews, and topics ready for our listeners and fans, and you could reach our audiences. Hear our voice, our crew, record an ad in your style, and make your brand heard on Mostly Superheroes. Find out more at mostlysuperheroes.com/sponsor. We're back from the break here with Team Jakey, the crew, Steve Zeller, Max Otten, and Sam Zeller. Sam, I know that we want to talk a little bit about where it is all going. We kind of talked about where it started, the dreams of how big that Mike saw it getting, and then there's the very reality of you guys have been very busy doing certain types of events that I feel like you guys are getting some traction with. I've seen you speaking at different stuff, and then obviously you do the collaboration events like what you've done with us and other entities. Yeah. So maybe just start with what are you guys up to lately? What's been working, and what are you thinking about doing more?
Yeah, and I'll back up a little bit more than I said I would originally, but I'm going to back up to a really cool event we did years ago with Second Shift Brewery in Four Hands. And this was kind of the brainchild of Libby from Second Shift. And she said she wanted to put on a mental health panel or awareness event. It was held at Four Hands, started by Libby at Second Shift, and it was a panel of people in the industry, the brewing industry. And it was just them talking about mental health within the industry, the struggles, and the issues they deal with being in an alcohol-driven industry and just dealing with the issues of being a brewer. And Team Jakey was invited to that, as well as another organization for mental health. And Team Jakey, primarily my sister, helped kind of MC that to a degree. And it ended up being like this just beautiful event for something that could have been so awkward and so like, man, this is different. Like, we've never done something like this. Four Hands hasn't done something like this. Second Shift hasn't done something like this. It ended up being so cool where, you know, the people on the panel talked, but then it morphed into people in the audience at Four Hands. You know, like the crowd kind of slowly grew. While it was people there for the event, maybe 20, 30 of us, then slowly it's like 40 and then 50. And then like it's just growing and people are like sitting in silence listening. And then they're asking, hey, can I get on the mic? And they're telling their personal story with the mic. People that have no idea what was even happening, just walking into Four Hands thinking they're going to have a beer. And then they're kind of like, no doubt, like seriously pouring their heart out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it went from I'm going to grab a beer to almost cathartic therapy experience for people.
Yeah, it was like one large group therapy session.
Yeah.
But like emceed and like it was just such a cool thing to see like naturally and organically explode that day. And ever since that happened, I've been like wanting to do something like that again. Like,
Yeah.
man, that was neat. I wish Second Shift would, you know,
And
plan that again. And
to contextualize it too a little bit, it's kind of like you guys have to, when you're part of any group, like you have to tell your story over and over and over. Like at the heart of this event is the tragedy of suicide.
Yeah.
You know, from your brother, and this is where this is what happens. Like you're telling the story, right, and then you're talking about the work that you're doing in the mental health space, that acknowledging that there is a problem with suicide and not having support that people need all over the world.
Yeah.
And that's like the whole mission behind Team Jakey. So when you did this event with Second Shift and Four Hands, that was like at the heart of it. And you're saying that the people there, I'm at a brewery event.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I go to brewery. I mean, who are you talking to? Like, I would go to, and I'd be like, oh man, what is this? You know?
Yeah. And it went from we raise money to, wow, we're like part of the fix.
Yeah, we
Like
were helping these people that literally just walked over after the Cardinals game. And
like-
we're grabbing a beer. And now they're like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should process some of the shit that's in my brain.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we were able to, like Sam said, pull that out of them, which is really difficult to do in any setting, let alone
like a brewery.
house.
Yeah.
And also in Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the stigma, the reason you guys have made that your mantra is that because it is a stigma, and like
Absolutely.
it becomes you're lesser of a person or a man or a woman, and if you do that, then you're labeling. But I think that the tone is changing, and you guys have unfortunately felt it firsthand.
Yeah.
And that, and I mean now personally, I have been affected by suicide many times, more than you didn't think of, like in the 90s, you know, 2000s, you know, if you bring it up, it would just be like, oh, they just need to get help.
Yeah.
And like that was the old man way of like,
Yeah, what have you got to be depressed about?
yeah,
How
could you complain?
Yeah.
You know, and now we're seeing that the real ramifications of like not processing what you need to do to help yourself.
And the world's not getting any easier.
It's getting harder. It's
You know what I
getting
mean?
faster. And
You know, everybody was so hard-nosed 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you know, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe that worked when, I don't know, things weren't
In the 50s?
Houses
crazy.
cost $9,000.
And everything was crazy to a certain respect.
yeah.
But you can't deny that things just aren't the way they used to be. And it's a little, you know, technologies. There's just all these different factors out there that you deal with in life that you need to have an outlet or, you know, just some type of outlet that we're ending the stigma. You can't have that added stigma like you used to. It's just not.
yeah.
It
Well,
just doesn't
they,
jive.
They can get bullied 24 hours a day now with social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And you have
can't escape.
constant information, and almost none of it's good.
No.
Fired right into your eyes from your
Yeah.
phone 3 inches in front of your head. So it's like being under fire at all times almost.
So
Like my Twitter feed.
Yeah, exactly. Like following Steve on Twitter.
yeah, his algorithm. I don't
Yeah.
even want to know. I don't even want to know what that algorithm is. Mine's not good. So, you know, fast forwarding, you know, I got involved with the AFSP probably shortly after that, and at one point, I think was it last year in the fall of 2023, I was asked. I think Keeley Construction had reached out to the AFSP and said, "Hey, can you guys bring somebody in to talk about suicide prevention and mental health because it's Suicide Prevention Week in construction,
Wow.
the construction industry."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, I'll raise my hand for that." I rarely did stuff like that. I was very much like, I'm too freaking busy with a kid and a kid on the way, and like there was just always a lot going on for me. And I go, but I work in a construction company. I'd like to take a spin at this. I know it's a big issue with the construction industry. So I said, I'll do it. And I ended up, in September of last year, I ended up talking at Keeley with Chad's Coalition, who talked and told their story and more took the statistical side of things. And here are the numbers. Numbers are great. Numbers help tell a story.
Right. Paint a picture.
And what I liked about our combination is I said, you do the numbers, they help tell a story. And I go, but then I want to tell a story. I want to tell a real life story. I want to put a story, real life story to those numbers.
Right.
Because a lot of people will see numbers like that. They're either half paying attention or they are paying attention. They go, wow, this is serious.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end.
Yeah, you need like a personal investment.
What's the personal hit here?
Yeah.
You
How
have
you-
to get
how you hitting
them
these
to buy
people?
into the message somehow.
Which is like where it all started.
So
In general, like
Yeah.
that's where it starts.
So at Keeley, I woke up that morning and I started prepping, of course, the morning of, and going over what I wanted to say. And really, the prep isn't all that much. I lived this. I don't need to prepare something I've lived and I know all too well.
Right.
So I said, I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to talk about it from the very beginning, the night Jake passed. I'm going to talk about the lead up to Jake passing. I'm going to talk about him moving to Oklahoma. I'm going to talk about our childhood, how in sync we were, how things were just, you're two twins, you know everything.
Yeah.
I start there, and I tell this story from beginning to end, and I go into him moving to Oklahoma and in the downfall, the quick downfall that happened, and I go into the signs that even a twin can miss. Because we've always said, spoiler alert on this little lunch and learn that I do, spoiler alert is, we always think that for years that there really were no signs, but then I was forced to reflect on this 10th anniversary last year, and I really thought about it. And I was like, well, shit, there was all kinds of signs for me. Not every sign is for, I didn't read this anywhere. I'm not a therapist, but in my opinion, not every sign is for everybody. There could be a sign just for you, or just for you, or just for you. And there were signs for him, for me, his twin brother. And I missed those. And I talk about the signs I missed and how subtle they can be. But in hindsight, how big they were.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in an effort to give people a new perspective. It's really a story of, and me and Mike would talk about it. It's a story about perspective and giving people a new perspective that they can then use that as like a benchmark, like not just a benchmark, but a real life example of like, wow, I got to be in tune. I got to be way more
not just
in tune.
not just real life, but I worked in research for about a decade, and twin studies are the most valuable studies that like almost happen in research.
Mm-hmm.
Like in general,
Really?
having two people and two like biologically the same.
Yeah.
So like not to take away from like the personal side of like
Yeah.
everything that you have, but like there's a real like value that you bring that like maybe there's a reason that like beyond beyond Mike freaking making it happen out of thin
But-
air.
Yeah.
Like that there's something really too. That's sort of why the talks. That's
It
why
puts
they
me in a unique position.
yeah.
Just like
It
how
is a unique
valuable
position.
those studies can be to see how one affects one twin and it may or may
Yeah.
not affect the other, or a different thing affects them. How
Yeah.
you can it does put me in a unique position. And I remember going back to that Keeley construction, my Uncle Mike had asked me, he goes, "Can I come?" And I said, "Yeah, please. Oh my God, please go." That would be,
Back up.
that makes me feel good because he, like we said earlier, he's had anecdotes and stories like literally at the wazoo. I mean, I could have passed out up there and he'd have been like, "Yeah, he's fine." Anyway, what he was
Listen to
going to
this.
say, yeah. So he was so good at that, and I said yes. So I did it. And it went great. I've even rewatched it and been like, "Damn, that was pretty good."
It was gut wrenching.
Yeah,
Mm.
and
Watching
Yeah.
it. For
and
me.
it just
I'm sure, Steve.
It-
All this, I know. You're being real strong too.
Well, it was like the first time that I realized
what
signs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I saw any, but
that they did exist. Yeah.
Oh yeah. After your talk, that's
Yeah,
it
yeah, because you
all
guys,
hit.
have, I
Yeah.
had said that
And
to
it is hindsight
people
too.
before, like, oh, my parents were always, and it really was. When you look back at the onset, you're like, we never saw it coming. We didn't. I mean, we didn't.
No.
But when
Right.
you look back, there were things for me that are undeniable.
Yeah, which is like the definition by the way, out there, folks. People that are like grieving people that you lost, like it is hindsight. Like
It's hindsight.
it's not coulda, it's not a shoulda. It's what could happen in the future for someone else, maybe.
Right.
Like that's what it could be.
And some of those reasons I didn't see him, and I go into this in that lunch and learn, is the stigma. And people, you might ask, what is the stigma? Like, I don't care if somebody dies by suicide. There's no stigma, or what are you talking about? Like, what is the stigma? To me, it can be so ingrained. The stigma for me was, as a 24-year-old, listening to his brother cry or be weird or like he was having issues. The stigma was not just the stigma about mental health, but the underlining issue was mental health, and I was ignoring it for my own comfortability.
Right.
I was like, I don't want to even talk about this because it's weird. I'm not comfortable talking about your feelings right now. So that the stigma can be that like pointed, and that like, I don't even want to talk about your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
This is just figure it out, dude. That's stigma.
Yeah.
And it can blossom, unfortunately, into the stigma where you're just ignoring everything, and you're like, dude, just figure it out and leave me alone.
Yeah.
And that's what I get into on that those stories.
It almost becomes just like giving people the space.
Yeah.
To like have space.
Yeah.
To like you if you can be weird, you can.
That's
and
what Mike was good at work, from reading from his comments from people, is that he cared, and he would ask people about their mental health.
Right. Just ask.
Ask, are you okay?
Give them the space to say anything.
Anything.
His how your days were not a hollow. How's it going?
Yeah.
It was hey man, how's your day?
Yeah.
Heard your kid was kind of hating his new school. What's up with that? Like,
Yeah,
how's he doing?
that's-
And those like his how's your day had follow up questions.
Yeah.
And that makes people actually love working with you.
Yeah.
Not because it could, and I'm sure some people are like, man, it's uncomfortable. But when you really think about it, those are great people to work with, because it makes your work tolerable, and it makes you feel like you're in a good space, safe place.
Yeah.
And I don't mean safe. Oh, it's a safe place, but it's
No, like seen. You feel seen too.
Snowflake.
We all want to be like seen and like
Yeah.
just a little bit more
you work at places, and you're like, hey, can you just so you get work for places that just want you to show up, shut up, and do your job.
Yeah.
And okay, fine. Some jobs need that. The guy with the 2 keys in the missiles. That guy needs to show up, just do his job. I don't know. Maybe
However,
However, when you turn the keys over, call your therapist.
absolutely.
Right.
Or call your brother and be
Yeah.
like, hey man, you were a dick when we were little. We got to talk about some things.
yeah, and there might be a fund out there for nuclear key
For
holders.
Nuclear key holders.
I don't know.
I'm not even like we joke.
That's
but
where we go next. We
So-
just specialize on people with the keys to the nukes.
It's groups almost. Like I like the groups.
Yeah.
And so you this all started with the construction talk.
So I started, and that was just them reaching out, and my Uncle Mike was there, and he said, he started working at St. Louis City SC a year before, and he goes, I want to do one of these at St. Louis SC. And we talked to the DEI director there, and before I know it, this May, I was in front of 60, 80 people talking at St. Louis City SC. The same story. I basically said, what happened at Keeley was great. Let's just keep making that happen. And Mike interjected, which is what I wanted. He did the same thing at Keeley. So me and Mike, it felt like we were starting to not just have a cornhole tournament. We were, taking it the next step where we're like, we're out there
becoming more proactive.
telling because I think
Spread
there's
it is
something,
proactive.
there's
It is.
something out there valuable.
Yeah.
We have something to offer that's just a
You're-
cornhole tournament. And
Yeah.
that's what we were doing.
One
Yeah.
of the valuable things that my dad always mentioned about that is, and it may sound silly, we have a captive audience. These aren't people that we convinced or people that like us that came to our thing to hang out with us or to be a part of it and celebrate it. These are people that are at work and they've done 10,000 different lunch and learns and they've slept through 10,000 of them. But if they hear this story, they're like,
You can hear
You can't
yeah,
really.
you're going to hear a pin drop. You're not hearing
Everybody's
typing. You're not
head
hearing
is-
sandwiches. You're not hearing people mumbling.
Yeah.
You're hearing people cry, and you're hearing people take deep breaths and take stock of where they're at or where their kids may be or where they've seen their friends at.
Yeah.
And it almost causes people to be like, oh, fuck. Maybe that's why Bill was being weird yesterday. Maybe he's struggling. Maybe I need to dial it back and go, hey, man, what's going on in your world?
Yeah.
And that's one of the benefits of the Lunch and Learn, I think, is you almost have, you can force people into looking at their situation and at the people around them.
What I like about it too is pairing it with the personal side, with the experience, and then resources.
Mm-hmm,
Like it has to be like, I'm not just gonna get you all drummed up about suicide and then send you on your way.
Bye.
It's got to be like, here's a thing to do. Here's
Absolutely.
something to, even just something to read and take home. Maybe like, and being open with people. Like, I think about the same way. Like, you work with like clients. Like, people just want to be taken care of. Like, some people might like to text. Some people might like an email. Like, you might be able to like just give someone like a sticker, and they're like, you know,
I
like,
needed that.
I think about tiny superheroes in town.
Yeah.
The little capes for the terminally ill kids, where it's like something.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe Team Jakey gets like some. You guys got great brand. You know, you guys have done great merch over the years. The signs and the stickers. Don't give up. You're not alone. Like that shit is still like up on our fridge. Like, and I see like people that are here like stop.
And you know, our original Team Jakey logo is by design a little vague. You know, from a marketing perspective, some might say, "Well, what is that?" Well,
Your brother's face.
Yeah, and you go, okay. Well, from a marketing perspective, you might want to know, hey, I want to look at your logo and know exactly what you do to some respect.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that logo does exactly what we want it to do. Invoke conversation, spark conversation, spark dialogue, where somebody that's wearing it like a buddy of mine or Dominic goes, oh, it's a organization for mental health and suicide prevention. I lost X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and boom, it starts. It's almost meant to be so vague.
Yeah.
And then we have
It's timeless to me, man. You talking like I'm marrying a logo creator. Like, this is good stuff. It's his face.
Yeah.
Is she selfish enough to put her own face on the
Yeah,
charity
really,
that sits
look.
on the board for it?
I mean, yeah.
Sam loves
No wonder.
Shocker.
No wonder
Sam
he
loves
loves
the
it.
logo.
Have you seen a
I
real?
think we have the
It's so
best
good.
logo ever.
Have
It
you
looks
seen a
just
picture of
fucking like
Jake?
me.
It doesn't look like this. This
No, it
is
looks like Sam. Yes.
I took a picture
Sam.
of Jake and literally traced
It's a
it.
picture. This is the whole time. This would be the biggest scandal. I would.
I took a picture of Jake where he looked better, and it was me, and then I put it in Microsoft Paint.
It's just him from like a couple years
Oh,
ago.
come
Like-
on. That's the scowl he always had.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, so in terms of where it's going, that's what it is. It's
So-
gonna be maybe
so-
more talking, more fun events,
So
like getting people together.
Mike had, he told me we had, before he passed, he's like, we got 2 more of these on the docket. And, I don't know, those might fall off, but I'd like to.
If they do 2 more, 4 more will come on.
Yeah, I want to
You-
keep doing it.
There's 2 more events you got like in the future.
We had 2 more talks coming up with different. I think Edward
I see.
Jones. We
I
were
see.
going to do another one. What I'm saying is they're not events, but they were us getting out in front of St. Louis.
Another engagement.
Not just talking about, anytime we can talk about Team Jakey's great, but if I can get in front of people and tell our story,
Yeah.
that's great. I really enjoyed. I'm nervous as hell to do them, but once I get in there, I really enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody listening that says, "Yeah, man, I work here,"
You're going to need
September.
a wingman.
So I definitely want. I don't like doing them alone. I like to have the conversation out. I like it to be as much conversational as I can.
Yeah.
I'm better looking than my dad. I can stand in the back and like bark out the occasional nonsense that he would say to interject. Absolutely.
I would love that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do more of that. We're gonna keep going with the cornhole tournament, and I do still want to bring future. It's talking about events. Future things that get thrown out all the time is a golf tournament, which I don't know. If we already kill a cornhole tournament. I don't
let's
want to be
just
like
do one
the
thing
leading
One thing good.
golf tournament in St. Louis,
Yeah.
but we'd have to have somebody committee that and do it. But Taps for Team Jakey was something we used to do.
I would
What
like
is that?
That
back.
one
It was
we
Taps for Team Jakey, it was called, and we would have it at Craft Beer Cellar in Clayton.
Oh.
We did it probably 4 or 5 years in a row.
It's one of my favorite events.
That was
and
an awesome
and
event.
there was nothing but showing up, hanging out, having some beers, and 50% of the money went to the cause. And Brandon Nicholson out of there was just super great to us, and it was just an easy event. We showed up and people came, man. I mean, we packed that place. It
Yeah.
was just easy and fun. We had a little tiny speech, and it was just conversation.
I mean, St. Louis is a event and festival haven, like, and beer wise, like, let's keep talking to Kevin, like,
Yeah.
talk to Second Shift again, and anybody, because like there is something with, I like the you kind of caught on to that there was like a whole brewers community that needed help, and then I'm also like a big advocate of destigmatizing drinking alcohol, and like I love all the NA options that are available like
For
everywhere
sure.
now.
Yeah.
And but like no one's been brave enough to say like you can get that, or like I'm gonna try it. Like people are still like really teetering. Like people that might struggle with
Oh.
alcohol. So like there is a big correlation with just like taking care of yourself and like having not the stigma to talk about anything I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
Like, there's a correlation there. So
Absolutely. So, in future events, I think we'd be looking more to collaborate with. We need help.
Yeah, you
know
need
what I mean?
help.
We're
Yeah.
thin as
you
is.
need big vehicles. Like you're already doing a lot of manpower that's just like spreading you guys like thin and
Yeah.
like to jump in with somebody that could
None of us are paid doing this, so
It's
it's
not-
just
right.
all volunteer, and it's all us just working, second shift doing this stuff. So like we're always ears for more ways to get involved in the community and help throw an event. It's just we love doing the screen and social, helping
Yeah.
sponsor that.
Yeah.
Movie
For a good time and like people get to hear about it and I mean people freaking I see it like they like it rocks them in like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I didn't know I was gonna hear about that today, but like needed to.
Yeah.
I always thought that one bar you went to, that comic bar,
Oh yeah,
would be a good place
Oh.
to maybe check into a Taps for Jake Jakey.
Apotheosis Comics and Lounge.
Yeah.
Martin would jump right on top of this. Absolutely.
Is it how big is the place?
It's a smaller like one shot shop,
One-shot
So
shop.
but like you could get
easy to pack people in there.
you
then.
could, you could maybe do you could be there for like a few hours and it's like a come and go
Yeah.
because you get customers.
And that's how the Taps thing was. Is you'd
Yeah.
have,
What's
you'd have people
Taps
zipping
was-
after work,
We'd
but
get
you'd have
out.
the consistent crew, and then there'd be people zipping in. Hey, I'm going to stop by, buy a few beers, and hang out with you
I
guys
bet
for
we
an
got
hour.
50 to 100 people at
I,
Taps.
I
every
like
time.
I like the Taps idea because it's
Yeah.
it's a casual type of like pubs have been my church for
It's
a
my-
long time.
My favorite picture of Jake on that poster.
So one of those two? Or is it,
No, it's
oh,
a real
on-
picture of Jake. It doesn't look anything like this.
Yeah, okay, so Jake's in it.
All right, so sky's the limit and more to come. And if this is also a call to arms. If you're like if you're hearing the message, I mean, you guys are out here doing the good work, and I just want to applaud you guys all because you also are just having to pump each other up. And a lot of people that get to come to a lot of stuff you do either get to like feel better about maybe how they were thinking about their own mental health, or you might have people that are just having a good time, like winning prizes and playing bags, and like that's all good. But you guys are doing God's work and everything that your dad did, dude. Like his legacy is like forever.
Absolutely. And I can speak for him, and I can speak for Sam and Steve. It's therapeutic and cathartic to us. Like, it's one of my favorite days a year, but I also think it's one of the most healing days of the year for me and for all of us. Because, first of all, we get to talk about Jake, and we get to be around people that want to hear about him and that are buying into our passions because of him. So for me, it's always been extremely therapeutic to not just talk about Jake, but to do these sort of things where we get to spin his story from the worst day, second worst day, to all of our lives, to something that we can hang our hat on and say, remember that lady that told us we saved her daughter's life? Remember that husband who said we saved his boss's life? Whatever it is, that nothing is going to bring back Jake or my father.
Nope.
That being said, we get to feel and see a little piece of them and their pride in knowing that, fuck, look at what we did. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a legacy now.
absolutely, yeah.
Well, and you guys have also like you're saving your own lives.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
For
you
sure.
guys and like you live the message in that way.
Yeah, and there's something, I think people get to a certain age and they go, I want to do something. I want to give back. I want to get involved somehow. And I think this is the feeling that they're kind of like searching for, is the feeling you get being involved with something like this. It's one of the small silver linings that go with losing somebody like Jake and your dad, is you get to there is a good feel out of this. I feel like, no matter how small, I feel like we are making a difference somewhere, into to somebody, and it's worth it. It makes you feel, you sleep a little better at night. You leave this earth one day knowing, hey, I did the best I could.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
things I don't want to say that you're underselling us or that you're underselling us. When you said earlier that there's two people that you can say that Mike saved their life,
Yeah, me
I
and
can name 10 people that I have heard from the Team Jakey
Yeah.
through what we do as a group have literally pulled me aside and said, hey man, I'm here because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that means as much to us as any dollar amount
Oh, yeah.
that we ever have, is the people that go, hey man, the reason I'm still sitting here is because of that stupid fucking bags tournament that I played in that one year. Like, as silly as it sounds,
That's
like,
good though. It starts with something. It's like a simple thing.
Absolutely,
You know.
That's how simple it can be.
And we have other survivors that came, Paula, and keep coming back every year. That are suicide, murder. She was a murder-suicide.
Her daughter was killed trying to
and
stop
then
a suicide. And it ended up being a spousal or domestic murder-suicide.
Yeah.
And she's been at every one ever since.
So it's kind of a healing thing for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say in terms of like who, people that are hearing this that might be like, I want to get involved. Like someone that, like you said, just might want to help out people. It's people that have lost someone, because that's you all have that in common, and like every one of us like will have that in common.
Yeah.
So there's a certain level of like, or really, if suicide's affected you personally, like it's just like a specific type of way to go. It is, and it makes everybody. It always has the same effect. Like when you hear, especially about someone you don't know, it's just like, man, what? We all are seeing like the what, and then you're helping out the people that might be dealing with this stuff themselves. Like you might be hearing this now, and I jump right to resources where you're like, well, what if I'm in crisis? Like you can text 988, you can text 741-741. You can. That's the AFSP like hotline. Like they are waiting 988. Like they worked really hard to get that number, and it's out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'd say, if you are struggling and if you're bottling it up, man, somehow, some way, breach the subject. No matter what it takes, find that person that you can just break down to, and just unload to some degree, and just don't keep it bottled up. Don't feel like you need to, find somebody you don't have to just send cryptic messages to.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? Find a guy, find a buddy, find somebody that you just, and I know it sucks to say, but that helps a ton compared to, 988's great. But if you can find somebody and get the courage to just flat out say it or say something, or if they ask you how you're doing, just say, man, not good.
I'm struggling, man.
Stop
I'm
saying
struggling.
it. Don't say,
okay.
I'm fine, man. How are you? Fight so hard to not do the normal thing in quotations, and just change it up. See what you get back.
And I'll comment what I think my dad would say to that is, when you're asking someone how they're doing, ask them fucking genuinely. If these are the people in your circle, and I'm not saying every Tom, Dick, and Harry on the subway, you got to ask them about their relationship with their mom. But when you're seeing a guy that you work across from every single day, hey, man, how's it going? You all right? You good?
Yeah.
Have the genuine connection with the people that are in your circle or even your extended circle to give them that ear.
Yeah.
To let them know. And by talking about it, we're doing that. Yeah. Nobody ever has to say, hey, is it cool if I bring up mental health to Sam Zeller? He's going to be an ear because we talk about it so much.
Yeah.
So give people a platform to break down to you because they trust you.
Yeah. And you guys are helping people, but you need a break. You know what I mean? Like, we want to talk to everybody, but you're talking to your circle is the way that in the stigma will happen.
Yeah, it's
because
to spread.
It'll be small changes, and people will you'll be surprised how your friends react. Just to be like, thanks for freaking asking me that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I feel like we're coming in on the end of the time. So, Steve, I feel like we've hogged the mic. So, like, is there anything you want to say about the work that's being done, or anything? The floor is open. This is the same message we've been saying. Anything that's on your heart.
Sam is my spokesman. So,
You've arranged that.
yes.
He just likes everything I say. He's like, I should have said that.
I should have.
What do you want to say on behalf of the message? Because you talked to me a lot about wanting to get the message out. So that's the most important thing you've told me. It's just however we can get the message to as many people as
Just
possible.
Us just you're chilling.
Yeah,
us talking.
It's just chill, yeah.
Just be a Mike. That's all I can say.
Be Mike.
Be Mike.
Yeah.
So.
All right. We call that our final goodbyes. All right, Max, how about you, man? Anything you want to get off your chest and say why you're
For the first time in my life, I think something my Uncle Steve said was articulate, concise, and understandable.
Well, yeah.
I'm not going to fucking tinker with it.
You guys are a real fucking family.
3 words.
Yeah.
3 words.
First time in 30 years he's ever said something like,
I want to give
got
a
that.
shout out to Nick McGlue.
Yeah, he's breaking in a new tongue every single time I talk to him. And he finally landed one. Don't fuck with it.
Yeah.
He stuck the landing. Nobody touch him.
Okay.
Unplug his mic real quick.
Oh my! Yeah, turn it. Should I cut it now?
Turn him off.
yeah, that's
cut him off.
Well, I stuck the landing.
Yeah, it ain't fucking getting better. I'll tell you that for free.
Oh my god!
3-word sentence. Period. Nailed it. Nailed it. It's our next logo. It's
I
our
don't
next.
like questions.
It's our
Yeah.
next.
Oh, look, the headphones are off. They're never
They're
going
already
back
off.
on. You can't get them back on.
Anything you want to say, Max? You came to the podcast mostly superheroes. We didn't talk about any superheroes outside of your dad and you guys, and I genuinely mean that. Anything you want to get off your chest or say, or
No, I want
with
to.
this group here?
I do want to thank people that have reached out to myself and all of us in the last 2 weeks. A lot of them are people that we know because of Team Jakey, and they're people that were important to us through Team Jakey. So that connection that my father made with them was a genuine one, and they cared about the cause, but they also cared about the man that brought them to the cause. So that's what I would say. I'm grateful that we got to learn a little bit in a short amount of time in 11 years on how the fuck to do this fundraising stuff.
Oh my gosh! Right?
Crash
Because it was
course.
a crash course.
Yeah. Well,
And so we were drinking from a fire hose the whole time,
Yeah.
trying to learn from what he was doing, but we'll pick it up and do the best we can.
Well, and outside of Team Jakey, hearts with you and your fam, dude.
I appreciate that.
Like for real.
I guarantee
that.
one thing: we won't disappoint on the food.
21st, come out and eat some good food. It's
Yeah,
all you
for
can
sure.
eat. All right, Sam, where do you want to leave us today, man? It was
I
great
mean-
having you back, Sam Sleeper.
Dude, I know it's been too long.
We teased a little Sam the Sleeper. Do you want to expand on Sam the Sleeper?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Do we have 5 more minutes?
Yeah?
Yeah.
We teased it. I think we should close
Yeah,
the loop.
So 2 weeks ago today, we lost my dad. After my father, Sam is the first person I call, good, bad, or otherwise, when something happens in my life. Don't tell my wife I said that. Thankfully, she has never seen a superhero movie ever, so we're
safe.
We are fine. Yeah, we are fine. I called him probably starting at 3:30 in the morning, ending at 9:45 in the morning.
No, not that late. 7.
So a long time. 29 phone calls, 19 phone calls, a lot. Slept right through them. Ringer on all the time.
My ringer is on all the
Yeah.
time.
Phone next to his head. The
Four
sleeper,
emergencies. Four
the
emergencies.
sleeper can
Yeah.
fucking sleep.
You got kids. Like, you got to have.
Sam the sleeper
He
slept
was
through.
out.
How is that
I
possible?
woke up at 6:40 and I was like, "Wow, I have like a million missed calls from Max. This ain't good."
And it wasn't.
Yeah, you were like, and he wasn't drinking last night. This is really bad.
Oh,
Fuck.
yeah, it was-
This wasn't like a fun shenanigans
no,
type
this was
thing.
Wednesday morning. I was like,
Yeah.
God, I guess I'm not
You-
going to work.
You were tired.
Sam
you
was
were
like, "Fuck
tired.
you, I don't have to go to work today. Something
yeah.
awful happened.
Yeah, I can't wait.
You were tired. You're a new dad again.
I'm always tired, man.
You had a baby again.
Yeah, more babies.
What are you doing?
Did
You're probably exhausted.
I can't
I know
believe
what
Max
he's
did.
doing.
I can't believe Max did that to me.
I know. I'm
Oh,
sorry. That
it's
was
all
really
right.
fucked up of my dad to do that. Your life was already really hard.
It sounds like you need a louder ringer.
Right?
Something.
Yeah.
Or a punch in the face. Sorry, I was asleep, man.
You know, if the roles were reversed, he wouldn't have called till 11.
I sleep with my phone on silent. Fuck both of you guys.
Yeah, my phone's like on do not disturb.
Once I
most of the
do
time.
fall asleep, I need it. Like, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Don't wake me
So,
up.
and then, God, another real quick side tangent story. We're going to quit our day jobs here soon, me and Max.
We're going to
and
quit both of them. We're going to quit Team Jakey, and we're going to quit our
You can
actual
maybe
day
help us
jobs.
produce.
Whoa.
We are.
We're workshopping.
We're workshopping. We got a concept. It's called a little show. It's gonna be a show called Little Dark Comedy. Coping mechanisms.
Coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Again, super organic grassroots start. Working on a eulogy
Okay.
last week.
Right. You worked on. Okay.
My mom, my sister, and my wife are in the room, and they're listening to Sam and I riff about the most horrific things the two people can go through, and laughing hysterically.
Yeah, I mean it's just one-liners.
Yeah, and it's
him
just
making fun of me
zingers.
and my
Yeah.
brother. Me going, just
Yeah.
hitting him about his dad that just died like 3 days ago.
Yeah, like so, and we're both home run hitters when it comes to really getting each other right.
The banter.
This is it. This is the pitch right here. This is the show.
And
so
I
if
sit-
Russell Dalrymple with NBC is listening, we would
Yeah,
like to
he
have
looks
a
at.
talk.
I look at him and I go, "This could be a TV show, like a reality TV." She goes,
Is
"Screw
it-
that." He goes, "It's a comedy. We call it coping mechanisms." And I'm like, "That's
We already have 2 seasons down.
Gold.
Jake, my dad.
And you guys are talking. You guys are like, it's like a podcast to start.
No, it's more of a.
Think of like The Bear, but if The Bear was actually funny.
Like a drama.
If the Bear and Seinfeld had a baby.
Yeah.
Like acting, like a
yeah,
character
like-
show.
I'm not acting.
We're writing it.
You're writing it.
Yeah.
No.
You guys are putting together a script for like a series
Well,
for 2 seasons.
A screenplay.
I
Right
can
now.
write-
We're
Screenplay.
keeping it loose.
yeah, I can write.
That's how they did it on Swingers. Or-
I can write a little bit. I'm a good eulogy writer. I'm a good speech writer. I don't, I'm going to figure it out. I got to quit my job first, and then figure out how to get paid writing
wow.
for myself.
Which
Hey,
is
Max.
in writing the eulogy, I was just speaking and I would tell some incoherent 2-line story and I'd look at Sam and go, tighten that up. And then I would pour another glass of whiskey.
Yeah,
like,
tighten that up.
I think that was what I said most of the night. I'd be like, remember that
It would
time?
be in a paragraph, like a 10-line paragraph he would say, and it would just be a story, and I'd be like, okay, back up like 10 times, and he's like, yeah, we'll just tighten that up.
Yeah, kind of like if you were like,
You guys are in the writing room and you liked it.
yep,
Yeah.
tighten it up. If you were dictating a lunatic's biography, that's how Sam wrote this, was just me rambling like a psycho and then going, you got that?
Yeah. So anyway,
coherent?
that's our.
Oh my
that's
God.
our. It's. I would say it's in the works. It's not in the works. It's up here
It's
in
in
our heads.
it's in its infancy, right?
I believe in it. And whatever I can do to help.
Yeah, you might be pulled in eventually if I get enough material. You start thinking.
Well, I think I need a break from material right now. I think we have enough.
Yeah, we got enough.
plate.
on our
We
plate.
got a
Got
couple
enough on our plate.
seasons. Yeah, so
Just don't steal our idea. Anybody listening?
Do you want this in the patron show? We can limit the audience.
yeah. Can we put like a cursor at the end of this and be like, listen, copyrighted.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick.
I think that's how you do it.
Don't be a dick.
I think you just did it.
His brother.
Is that how that works?
His
That's pretty
brother,
much.
my dad. How much more can we lose?
That's it.
What else can
If
we
we
take from
lose
us?
our best screenplay ever. Anyway,
we go.
so
All right.
So that's what we got, and my parting message would be, like I said, if you're listening, number one, come out and see us on the 21st, September 21st. It's going to be here before you know it. Check us out on Facebook, and then if you're struggling, check out the resources that are on the AFSP, Provident Behavioral Health, Team Jakey. Talk to your friends. If you're not struggling, listen. Be a better listener. It's simple stuff, but it can change somebody's life. So, at the end of the day, that's as simple as it is. It's
Be there.
Just be an
there.
ear. Just be an ear.
Give
And
the
it-
space a little.
Yeah, and it can help. Outside of that, man, I think we cover the bases.
Well, thank you guys for doing this. It was a pleasure hanging out with all three of you. Hope
Absolutely.
come back again. Welcome
Yeah, it's
anytime.
fun.
Sounds like there's gonna be more material on many fronts.
Hey, man, get us
Look at
back.
look at that headphone situation right now.
I don't. I've never seen it at the
If I
front of
spent
a forehead.
40 minutes trying to get it how it was, I couldn't.
Okay.
Get us back post tournament, post September 21st. I want to be back in seat.
Yeah.
We'll unpack.
We'll unpack. We packed it. You guys unpacked. Thanks for being here in the middle of all of it. And like that's the last message I have for our listeners is, if you're in the thick of it, man, it helps to have people around and talk to people about it. So Team Jakey on Facebook, check them out. mostlysuperheroes.com/give, and we'll see you next time on the pod. That's the show. Thank you.
All right.
Good job.
Yeah.
Mostly Superheroes is proud to be funded in part by our sponsors. Mostly Superheroes is funded in part by paying patrons who receive early, ad-free, and exclusive episodes. Subscribe at mostlysuperheroes.com/support. Thank you for supporting your favorite independent podcast. Mostly Superheroes is an independent podcast owned and operated by Kerrigan Ventures in St. Louis, Missouri. Hosted by Logan Janis, Andy Hunn, and Scott Swearingen. Brand and creative by Carrie Clark Design. Music by Audionautics. Learn more at audionautics.com. Find more at mostlysuperheroes.com.